Okay, we finished repairing your late 1960s Nishijin A single ball Pachinko machine. And we've attached a couple boards to the bottom to stabilize it so you can set it on a table. And this quick start guide will show you how to set up your machine and play it. So on the back and in the top, right at this corner where I'm zooming in on, you've got a part here, this little metal tab, it's flipped in the wrong position. You want that to be over to the right, so I'm just going to flip it up this way. That way this part can freely move up and down. And coming down the machine, we've got this metal arm here. It just rests right here on this ridge. And back behind here, you see a red part? There is two Pachinko balls in there, and they act as counterweights. And that red part is a seesaw. It's a payout seesaw. It goes up and down. And right now it's in the wrong position. In this position, your machine won't work, so we've got to reset it. And you got a couple ways you can do that. One, you could try and stick your finger in there and move it manually. The other way is you can see at the bottom, there's some parts that it's attached to that it's pivoting. This one right here, so you can also just grab, there's a wire right here, you can just touch that and pull it down, and that resets your seesaw. Going across that recycler tray, you've got a metal cover here with what looks like a paper clip. If you pull down on that paper clip, this door swings open so you can get inside of the two tracks here, a front one and a back one. Clean those out of any debris if you ever get carpet fuzz in there. You've got a cover here with a spring and a staple, so you can flip this up. Spring will slide up that staple so you can actually see your jackpot seesaw in here. But what we're doing right now is we've got a tab here attached to this spring and another tab here attached to this spring. Right now they're separated. When they're separated like that, any balls that are on the machine would just roll straight past and out. So we've got to lock it, that way we can load the machine with balls. So I'm going to push these two together, and when I do it's locked. I'm going to pull them apart to drain it. Okay, it's locked. Go ahead and flip the cover down for now. If you ever need to get in your machine from the front, the play field, there's a lever right here. If you lift up on it, then you should be able to swing open the glass on the front. You can kind of see there's a notch right here, a piece of metal coming through that latches on. It actually latches from this part, there's two teeth, but it latches here. There's also one at the top. So I'm going to pull up, and now that's able to pop open. I'm going to go ahead and close it back. Close it until it snaps. Now this nail on this piece of plastic, it was for security purposes. You don't need it for home use, but what they would do is they would stick it in this hole, and then nobody could cheat and try and get a wire around the machine and try and lift this up, because that nail is going to prevent it from opening. Now your machine has three lights. It's got a light right here, a light here, and a light here. These two will flash when you get a jackpot. This one comes on and stays on to let you know that your supply tray is out of balls. So what we're going to do is I'm going to connect the battery, and when I do, this light came on, and that light is attached to this switch right here. So there's a, you can't see it because it's behind this post, but there's a wire that activates that switch. So as we add balls to the tray, it'll push down this part, shutting off your light. This other switch down here is what will operate the other lights when you get a jackpot. So it'll, let me turn this off, might be easier to see. So a flash here inside this housing and another flash up in the corner. We'll go ahead and add balls to the tray. And when we add balls, they'll roll down the track, down this chute, and they'll enter into your recycler tray. Now the way the recycler tray works is it has a couple of levers below it, and they're attached to these long wires, and whenever the tray has enough balls in it, it lifts this wire, blocking the flow of balls from your supply tray to your receiving tray. Whenever this tray runs low, those levers move, and then balls will flow down the tube to refill this tray. Usually first time I load the machine, I just put a few extra balls in my recycler tray. Then you'll need to take your bucket, place it right here. Most of the time you never need a bucket, but when you do empty your machine with those levers over there, the balls will drain right out here into the bucket. We'll see that later. The other thing is if your recycler tray ever gets too full of balls, they'll back up this ramp and they'll fall down through a chute here into the tray, into this bucket. We'll go ahead and do that. See. So that's why I need the bucket there. Go ahead and add a few balls to your receiving tray. Okay, now let's talk about the front of the machine. Here you have your finger rest bar and you have your flipper. So you take your index finger, put it against the finger rest bar, then you grab the flipper with your thumb and you pull all the way down and you quickly let go. And when you do that, when there's a ball in the shooter lane, it'll launch it up around. There is a rubber bumper here and it can hit that bumper, bounce out, and then it'll ping off the nails. You have some spinners here that redirect the ball, and then you have your jackpot pockets. You have a pocket up here, these down here, and then you have this one here which is called a tulip. It's got two wings on it, and right now it's open like an open flower. You get a ball in and it closes. When it's closed and you get a ball in, it opens. Another neat feature about your machine is if you ever get a ball in either of these two green ones, and this is closed, it'll open it up. Also, I believe if you get one in the top, it'll open it up if it's already closed. Here are the lights. This light is the one that comes on whenever you're out of balls and you need to refill the top. This one and right here will flash when you get a jackpot. Here we see a window where you can actually see your jackpot seesaw. It's got balls in there now. When you get a jackpot, it'll tilt down, empty them all out, and they'll come out here, and then it'll reset and refill the balls. Here's the hole where you play your load a ball. So these are called single ball or single shot machines. If we drop a ball in the hole, it rolls across this white ramp into the shooter lane. This lever here was for purposes when it was in a pachinko parlor in Japan. Let's say that red seesaw was in the wrong position, but you kept playing and maybe you were getting some jackpots. Those jackpot balls would stop in a holding area until the attendant came by and reset your machine. Once he reset your machine, you could push down this lever, and every time you did, it would take one of those holding area balls, put it into that seesaw, and it would pivot down and pay out. Play Pachinko. Okay, we had a ball bounce in, it went in this tulip, it closed. We saw the lights flash. We'll do a little bit more. So that's how you play Pachinko. And depending on how far down you pull the flipper, the ball will either go here, down the middle, over to the side. So I use a little bit of skill and strategy to aim for the different pockets. Okay, I zoomed in. We're gonna drop some balls in some pockets. So I'm gonna drop one into the top pocket. And as you can see, the tulip popped open. Now, one thing that happened is the lights came on and stayed on. That's because the seesaw that pivots, it pivoted down and it didn't complete its cycle. So let's take a look at that. It's not uncommon for these older machines that have a lot of metal parts to sometimes not fully do their function. Sometimes they may stick, especially this machine, which we only did a repair. We didn't do a full restoration, so we didn't take it apart and clean everything. But let's go ahead and show you the back. I'm just going to pop open this cover here, and I see, oh, the seesaw is empty. It pivoted down, but it never reset. There is this arm right here coming across, and it will lift this wire, which resets the seesaw. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So the seesaw's reset. This arm still hasn't reset. That arm is actually not this one that we were messing with, but right behind it there is a darker arm, and that is attached to the seesaw, and it's all the way down at the bottom. It needs to flip back up, so we're just going to manually just touch it and flip it back up. So now it's reloaded and it's ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and test it while we have the back here. There's actually a hole here. I could drop a ball in and it would go into the seesaw and pay out a jackpot. If you don't have a hole like this, you can just pop open your door and drop a ball into the one of the pockets. So I'll just drop it in. Okay, and the seesaw paid out and reset. We'll just do it a few more times, and you'll also get to see everything happen. So the ball will roll down, enter the seesaw, it'll pivot down, and that ball will come down here. It'll land on that long metal arm, it'll push it down, which causes all this linkage to move, which does your payout of your balls. Then as the balls are paid out, they hit this arm here, and that'll reset your seesaw. So I'll do that a few times so you can watch. So from the front of the machine, I'll go ahead and drop one here, close it. Drop one in the pocket over here on the side. And as you can see, it opened that up. Go ahead and close it again. Now if we get one in the two red pockets, that won't open that tulip up. Let me show you. So that's just a normal jackpot. Now as I said, this is a single shot, designed mainly to drop one ball in, but if you did happen to drop two in, you could probably still shoot them. There was just barely enough power to launch them both out on the machine, on the playfield. But if you were ever load like 3, 4, 5 balls in here, there wouldn't be enough power to launch them out, and what you'd have to do is you'd have to open up the playfield door and take those balls out manually. And if this light ever comes on here, it means you need to fill up the supply tray back with balls. Also what will happen is there will be a little metal gate that will drop down in front of your hole here, and you can't load any balls until you add balls to that top supply tray and back. This window here, right by this light, this little long place, that's your holding area for balls. I'm going to go ahead and put the seesaw in the wrong position. And when I did, the lights came on because it's thinking it's supposed to do a jackpot. It's in the wrong position, and I'm going to drop some balls in to activate a jackpot, and when I do, they'll start to back up in this holding area. Now you can just barely see the ball go in there. We'll do another one. Okay, I've loaded several balls in there. They're not paying out. So what I need to do is I need to reset the seesaw. I'll just pivot it back in the right position. And the machine paid out the jackpots themselves. If it hadn't, you could have taken this little white lever here and activated it to get the balls out of the holding area and into the seesaw to pay out. Okay, we're ready to drain the machine, take all the balls out of it, because you never want to lay down the machine, transport it with the balls in it. So we're going to go ahead and flip this. And we just want to move the parts, tap the machine, make sure there's no balls stuck in any of the tracks. Okay, and once we got all the balls out, we'll go ahead and lock this back so we don't forget when we reload it. Okay, that got all the balls out of the machine. And that concludes this quick start guide. We sure hope you enjoy your machine.